Welcome to the Linguistics Show, where we talk about life, love, and everything else. There's always something to talk about with this couple, so you never know what may come out of their mouth.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Linguistics Show. It's your co-host Karal, and we're here with a special guest today. We're here with my dad. And so today's topic is going to be something that we hope that this episode inspires people to be the best they can no matter what happened in the past. So I'm going to have my dad introduce himself. So, Dad, who are you?
Good. I am being interviewed today on some topics that may inspire each and every one of you all. And we have talked about it in the past, but now we're going to be sharing it with our audience.
Yeah. And so the topic today is be afraid to quit. And so that's something that my dad can definitely speak upon because he is very motivated. It takes a lot to not quit. And so I think he's a great inspiration for anyone, whether you're a man or woman, younger, older, married, single, it doesn't matter because his life story and how he turned that into who he is, I think is definitely worth y'all hearing about. So let's hear a little bit about you, Dad, and some background, maybe like how you grew up or like what led you to have this kind of mindset of being afraid to quit.
Okay. Well, I started out in a young age being motivated, building items that I couldn't afford to buy. Growing up in the country for about 5 to 7 years, we were inspired by a lot of things that we saw on TV. Initially, when skating came out, we had skates that were made out of steel that we would wrap around our tennis shoes, and we would skate in the streets. And once the skating season was over, we would take those same skates and create go-karts. And we would go and ride go-karts made out of steel wheels sliding all over the asphalt in Gastonia, North Carolina. Now, with the skateboards, we went to go-karts, which was just a 2x4, and we took a spring that we would take from screen doors, we'd take a broomstick that belonged to someone, we would cut it up.
I'll be like, Bunny, where's my broom?
Yeah, and we would go to junkyards and get steering wheels off old cars, and that would be our steering. So the spring would be on one side, and we would nail the string to one of the 2x4s at the front wheel, and as you turn the wheel to the right, the spring would bring the wheels back to the left, and that was our steering mechanism. So we did that for a couple of years, and then I moved to the city of Detroit, where I was a young kid. I moved up there when I was in the 5th grade, and during that time in Detroit, it was a thriving middle class and community. The community was a village, meaning that each neighbor looked at kids as their own and would report to the parents about mischieving kids or things that we were doing wrong. And that kept me straight and narrow. But I had cousins who were a little devious and wouldn't listen, and I didn't follow them. As I grew older, we would play sports, and I think I started playing sports in the 8th grade. But in the city, there's a lot of competition. It's very competitive, where you could be called a wimp or a loser if you gave up. So I learned way back in those days not to give up. I always try to be the best, and competition was good. Everybody competed for different positions, whether it be football, baseball, basketball. That's what we played. And that started me off as trying to be a winner. And from junior high school to high school, our coach was very inspirational. He was like a father image to us. We were kids growing up in the city. We didn't have no leadership because basically it was a hustling type of city where you had to fend for yourself. We had a lot of fighting in the neighborhood, but if you didn't fight, you would get beat on every day. So sometimes I would fight big kids, little kids, just to keep my reputation up that I wasn't afraid of no one. I would get beat sometimes, and most of the time I would be the conqueror. But that led me to being stronger and not being afraid. And the coach also had a saying that a winner never loses and a loser never wins. And I didn't know what that meant till later on in life, but that was his goal, to make us winners. And we were winners in our sports in high school. And
Yeah. So then, since you had cousins who were in your same age range, and some of them, you were saying, didn't follow the rules pretty much, like, was the value of being afraid to quit something that you also saw maybe like within like your older cousins or your uncles and aunts, that they may not have actually told you that lesson like in their words, but did you like see that with those who were like a little bit older than you as well, like being afraid of quitting?
I did see that in my grandfather. He was a provider. But living in the city, my growing up was a little different from folks in the other parts of the city. It was more of a hustling type of environment. We gambled. We played all types of games. And I would watch the older people come through, and I was inspired by them. The nice cars, the suits, the perfumes, the colognes. And everybody was in a position where they seemed to be achievers. And I wanted to be that way. But the achievers, mostly of them were into the streets, into drugs, into gambling, into illegal things, numbers. I remember the number runners would come to our house and we would play numbers, a penny, a nickel. And before the actual numbers became legal, the numbers would be predicated on the horses. So the horse races would predicate what the number would be for that particular day. Win, place, and show. If number 1 came in, that was 1. If number 10 came in, that was 10. In second place, if number 12 came in third place, it'd be 1, 10, 2.
That's what that phrase means. I never knew that until just now.
Oh,
Like the whole you were saying, I think it was win, place, and show. Was that what you were saying?
Yeah, win, place, and show.
Because I've heard that phrase before, but I didn't know what it meant. I had no clue what it meant.
Oh, yeah. So, anyway, I didn't play the number. The sports kind of took me out of the avenue of going down that road. And in our high school in Detroit, it was mandatory that you became a 3-letterman. You couldn't play just one sport and be out for the winter or the summer or the spring. In the fall, you had to play football or run track. In the winter, you had to play basketball, swimming team. And in the summer, you had to play either baseball, soccer, hockey, tennis. but you had to play a sport. You couldn't be idle at no time during any sports season.
So was that more so like from your coach, or was it from your actual school? Like, have they didn't want you all to be idle like during various sports seasons?
That was from the coach,
Okay.
and then that kept us busy. Now I did have time to do mischievous things, but most of the time I was into sports all the time. I mean, around the clock. Well, I say around the season. I say around the clock. And then my cousins wasn't into sports. They were into hustling. So I learned how to hustle too, but I also learned how to get my education. And of all my cousins, I had 6 first cousins. And of all the 6 first cousins, none of them finished high school. I was the only one to finish high school, only one to go to college, the only one to try to make a living.
Yeah, like make it out, really.
You make it out, and I made it out, and then came down to D.C., where I continued my education and started to raise a family at a young age. I was 23 when I got married. I had a kid in high school, it's Everett, but I didn't get married to his mother.
By being a teen father, did you think that helped with your drive of being afraid of quitting?
Oh yes, that was my drive.
How so?
And that came. The drive was instilled in me again in high school from my coach, but I didn't want to see my kids go through what I went through. Maybe a lot of stuff I'm not telling in this interview, but it was not an easy life. But I did not want them to go through what I went through. And the coach always told us that we didn't have to be a product of our environment. You may grow up as a gangster, you may see it all, but you don't have to be that way. And I took the hard road out was being on that track of not going back to or getting into illegal items of life, drugs and prostitution and pimping. And I knew all that, I saw all that, and I knew how to do all that, but that just wasn't my interest because it was short term. I've seen kids, going back to my elementary days, they were overdosing on heroin. You know, that was a thing that was running rapid in the city. And I've seen pimps having prostitutes all over the city, driving Cadillacs.
So this was probably in the maybe late '60s, in the early mid '70s.
Well, it was in the mid late '60s.
Okay.
Yeah, mid late '60s. But I was young, but being young then was actually being old. Because when I was 11 and 12, you know, I was doing things that grown-ups would do. I was buying my own clothes. I was do a little hustle on the weekends, make money, go down, buy what I needed, and go to school. And Dapper Don is from New York, but in Detroit, Dapper Don was us.
Right, it was you and some of your cousins, like us, and your
Yeah,
friends.
we wore the best clothes, and we did that for years.
So then let's kind of go back slash fast forward to when you had moved to the DC area. So you had moved to Northern Virginia. So that was like Falls Church, Arlington, and those different areas. But besides your coach, was there anything or anyone that like really stuck out to like really help you see that like you have the ability to like take what you learned in Detroit and then like build a business, for example? So like you have been an entrepreneur for my whole life, and I'm 41. So like even before I was born, like you were always into like being your your own business leader. So, like, what do you think led to that?
Well, in '69, when I moved down from Detroit down to Washington D.C., I came down with my mother and my stepfather, and I finished my last year of school in Virginia. But the term or the interest of being entrepreneurship was instilled in me way back when I was in my teens, because I knew the money that could be made if you put your own interests at hand and believed in yourself. But I did work, for Giant Foods. I worked
Remember hearing the stories.
HFC, that's household finance. I think I've had 3 jobs, but I always wanted to believe in myself. So when I got into entrepreneurship, which was construction, it came from a gentleman that I was playing basketball with who had a construction company and he needed salesmen. But I was a good salesman, I could sell.
He can sell, what's the phrase? He can sell water to a fish. He can sell
Oh, I could sell
whatever
ice to an Eskimo.
Yeah, that's what it is. He can sell. Yeah, so like whatever analogy phrase, he can sell whatever phrase y'all thinking about.
Yeah, that was my phrase. I could sell ice to an Eskimo, even though he had a refrigerator full of it.
And they will buy it too.
And they would buy it. So I used that my intelligence and my knowledge of selling. I started selling home improvements, and I worked full time at Giant. But my admiration was seeing Giant Food being a $1 billion company, and I'm working by the hour, and I'm saying, man, if I gave myself 100% of what I know and believed in myself, I could be just as big as they are. And that's what was always stuck in my mind. But being self-employed means you have to be self-motivated. So I did have some downfalls, but I knew that I could recover.
As I grew older, my first cousin Joselle and I were very close. So we were always working on how to make money. So we would create uh, how to make money. And I remember my first time trying to make money. I must have been in the 8th grade. But we would take this big 1 gallon pickle jug, uh, I guess you'd call it a jug, a 1 gallon jar.
Okay.
We would fill it with water, and we would put a shot glass in the bottom of the jar, 1 gallon pickle jar, and we would put a lid on top and slice the lid enough for corn to go through it. So we would walk through the neighborhood. And we would say, "You can get this penny inside of this corn, this shot glass. We will give you 5 times that amount."
Okay.
So, we would go through and folks would put their penny in, nickel in, a quarter. And sometimes the corn would flow through the water and land in the shot glass, and most times it would not. So we made a lot of corns that way. And then as we got older, we would give house parties. It would have like blue lights in the basement, but we would have blue lights in the basement, and we would be like a house party. All the high school kids and junior high school kids would come over, and we would charge like 50 cents to go downstairs.
Okay.
We didn't have a DJ; we had a jukebox,
Mm-hmm.
and folks put their money into the jukebox, play the records, and dance and sweat and have fun.
So
We made
then,
money that way.
okay. So then, when you think about some of the things that happened in your childhood and then in your teen years,
from what I just know, as being your daughter, you have always found a way to be a business owner. So whether it was with the jukebox in the parties or as an adult, so then uh, what do you think um led you to actually become such a savvy business person, opposed to want to work for someone like in an office or work for someone else's business?
Well, if I can touch on that real good. So I guess jumping into adult life, I had a job at H Household Finance. That was my first job when I first got out of high school, and ended up working at Giant Foods. I worked midnight at Giant Foods for probably 6 or 7 years. I moved from the night shift to the day shift at Giant, and then from the day shift, I was on day 5 years. Moved into the corporate office over in Landover, Maryland, off Sheriff Road.
Okay, because I never knew that you were in the corporate office. Because like I knew that you worked there, like when you were in Virginia. But I'm learning new things about you as well, Dad. This is great.
Oh yes, I worked in corporate for probably 3 years. Well, what inspired me to leave, I was met this one guy named Bill Whaley on the basketball court, and he had started a home improvement company. He needed salesmen, so he taught me how to sell. Where I would knock on doors, and I would advocate or solicit things that the people may need. I was able to read houses. When I say read houses, I would be on the outside of a house where they need a roof, if it needed new windows, painting, siding, gutters. We would canvass different neighborhoods, and then you would look at a house and say, "Well, this house needs a new roof." So you knock on the door and you would talk to the people. It would tell them that the roof is going bad, and I work in the neighborhood. We'd like to give you a price, and I got a lot of my deals that way. But I was still working full time at Giant. But
Okay.
I was when I got off from work at Giant at 3.
Hmm.
I would canvas from maybe 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock, knocking
Oh,
on doors, and I was making more money doing that than I was with a weekly salary.
okay. Interesting. Yeah.
So I would go in the office, and there was 3 people in the office: Ida, Stan, and Ed. They had been with Giant, 25, 30 years, and I only been in corporate for 3 years, but I've been with Giant for maybe 12.
Okay.
And I said, man, if I decide if I could put 100% into selling and put 100% into myself, I could make as much money as these guys are making in a month. I could make that in a week. So that's when I decided to quit Giant and work full time selling.
Okay. So
And I was,
like were you in your mid 20s by this point, or were you already in your 30s by this point?
I was probably, let's see, we got married 22. So that's 72. Because I was married to Mom then.
Okay.
Yeah, we got married, I think at 24. So I was married doing this. I wasn't single.
Okay.
So I'm thinking 84, 1984 is when I started full time. So from 72 to 80 to 84, that's when I worked at Giant.
Okay. Wow.
and I quit in '84, and I started working with Bill Whaley. But what got me into the business, I had sold all these jobs. Yes,
Okay.
'84. Around that time, I had quit Giant and canvassing full time. And when I would canvass the job, he'd all make the sales, and Bill Willie, the owner, he would get the work done, and I would make a commission off my sales. Because I could make, sometimes I could make, my sales were somewhere in the, like, $4,000 range, $5,000 range for sales, and I would make $400, or depending on the size of the sale would be my 2% commission.
Okay.
So I got into it, and I was just trying to sell 3 or 4 jobs a day. But after about, I guess, 5 or 6 months after I quit, and of course, Mom was behind me. She supported me
Yeah.
in my endeavors. But after I quit Giant, I did that, and then one morning, I think it was on a Saturday, I went up to the office, and it was locked, and didn't find Bill Willie nowhere. So the landlord who we was renting from, the office was right there off of Marlboro Pike and Fordsville. You see, Silver Hill Road and Marlboro Pike.
Okay.
That's where the office was located. And we finally got in, and he had left and went back to Georgia, went somewhere.
Wow. Okay. So basically, it sounds like he just picked up and left and took all the money with him too.
Yes.
Wow.
So I had to go and talk to my customers, my 6 customers I had to talk to. But doing the selling and the canvassing, I got to know all of the subcontractors. I was able to get acquainted with those guys. As I told the homeowner what happened, and I talked with the subcontractors, and we were able to get it going again with those guys working, and the homeowner had to come up with more money. But they just got to give it a deposit. They wouldn't pay the whole thing up front.
Okay.
And they understood, and I took it over, and I started getting jobs completed. And they would give me a price, and I would take the money and pay them. And then I wanted to learn it myself, too. I said, man, I need to learn this because I want to give me good deals or not.
Right. Exactly.
So I would take my suit off and my dress clothes, and I would have to start working with them, learning how to do carpentry and electrical and plumbing and roofing and drywall and work with all of them, hands-on. And I got pretty good at it. I got real good at it. And I got legitimate. You'd open up the business with a license and a name. So the first, at the same time, well, before then, we had left Oakcrest Town and moved to Waldorf. We had bought a house, Mom and I, in '79.
Okay.
But I was still a Giant at the time, so I was working from Waldorf.
And going to Landover every weekday.
Yeah, Landover, or where we are. Well, actually, it was Marlow Heights. Is it Marlow Heights? The District Heights.
Okay.
That's where the office was before he actually locked the doors and left. And anyway, when he left, I created the business. And the first name that I had, it was called Superior Awning and Siding. And we would sell siding and awnings. Awnings were like a metal covering over windows for the sun would come in, and I would tell the homeowner we could stop the sun from coming in the house and put this awning over each window, and that would avert the sun. And I got up and saw a lot of awnings in D.C., you know.
Having awnings was such a popular thing anyway, because I remember seeing that houses in D.C., Virginia, and elsewhere. So I definitely know that was a really, really big thing back then, having awnings on your windows in your patio.
Yes. So I saw a lot of those. But my company name was Superior Awning and Siding. Awnings. Well, now I'm saying awning, AWNING. Superior Awning and Siding. So I had that company for, I guess, 2 years, maybe 3. And I was still wanted to do better. I said, now I don't want to specialize. I want to be general.
Right. Okay.
So after so many years in that business, I changed the name. I took the acronym, so Superior Awning and Siding became SAS Construction.
Right. Because I never knew what that stood for. I'm as a kid, so I'm as a kid, so I would I would guess what it meant, but I had no idea until just now, like what it actually stood for. Because I'm thinking there is no one at the house that has an S name, and I have no clue what this stands for. But now I know Superior Awning and Siding, aka
Yes.
SAS Construction. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, SAS Construction. That way I got into other projects. So people say, you just awning and siding. How can you do construction? How can you remodel my basement now? You're a siding company. You're an awning company.
Mm-hmm.
I said, wow, maybe that does have an impact on
Oh yeah,
people's, you know,
the perception of you.
the perception. I mean, I said, well, I want to keep it. So that's why I created SAS Construction. Then I got licensed and bonded under that name. Then I was soliciting myself, to other construction companies,
Mm-hmm.
the subcontractor. So I met this one guy named Mr. Lassiter. He had an office on Central Avenue, right across from the subway on Central Avenue and
Addison Road Station.
Addison Road Station.
Okay.
Right there. That was not up there now, but that was a beauty salon, liquor store.
Mm-hmm.
And I had office right between the liquor store and the barber shop, or beauty salon.
Right. Okay.
So I met him there. And this one guy that I talked to a lot, who I was subcontracting, he was project manager. His name was Sam Friday.
Okay. Uncle Sam. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So Sam Friday, and Mr. Lassiter was close. Mr. Lassiter was ready to retire, but he was an old guy. He was probably up in his 80s. And Sam called me one day and said, man, I want to come to work for you. But Mr. Lassiter get ready to close down. And I knew he had all this experience of how to read blueprints and how to bid jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, sure. So we got together and came to an agreement. And he started working for me.
Okay.
And we're still friends to this day.
Yeah.
But we got into bigger things, into government projects,
Mm-hmm.
8A programs, set-asides.
Yeah.
And some kind of way I got with Mr. Cade, Jim Cade.
Okay. Remember him as well. Remember him from the 80s. Yeah. So then, when you were starting your business as the awning and siding, then you transferred to a larger general construction. Did you have anything happen that that made you possibly want to give up, but then you didn't quit though?
Well, I waited out, and I thought about my basketball coach back in the day. He said, be scared to quit.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have difficulties. You're gonna run into stumbling blocks. You're gonna him, but I was able to finish him up, but it was tight.
Okay.
But I just know that the minute you quit, maybe the minute you're going to succeed.
Right,
That was my
exactly.
mentality. And I said, man, if I quit now, then maybe if we turn the corner, that might be my success right there.
Mm-hmm.
So I stuck with it.
Now, in in that kind of mindset, I don't I don't think like you ever told us, those exact words, but just like me like seeing you and mom, but more so seeing you, since you had your own business, that's something that was taught to us indirectly. Like if you quit now, like you don't know what's gonna happen. Other may actually work out for you. So like I definitely have had that lesson from as a kid, as a teen, now as a parent too. No, just to never stop trying because you may actually push through. So don't quit without giving it your all. And so
Right.
that's a huge lesson, Dad. That you've taught me, and I hope that you know. But if you didn't know, now you know. Like Biggie, if you don't know, now you know.
Yeah, big and small. You
Exactly.
don't know, and now you know. You
Yeah.
know. I had no idea that she was looking at me that closely, but yeah,
Yeah.
Mom and I had some difficult times, but she was a good support, very supportive, and we made good money, and we bought a lot of things, cars, we got the house, and it was a lot of good times,
Yeah.
and we raised you all, we didn't give the best of everything, but we tried to give everything we could.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we had a great childhood. Yeah. Yeah. So then those are things that I definitely have tried to help your granddaughter see as well, in terms of don't stop trying till you have really tried all options. You've weighed every option, you've tried every step or method, and then maybe you do have to move on. But like, don't just quit without giving it your all. So that's a huge lesson that I have taught the kids as well.
Oh yeah, well I came from childhood and more so with the impact in high school when I was, going to Persian. He was a motivator, image, father figure, and
Hmm.
all that stuck with me. Those little sayings,
Yeah.
you know, winner never lose, a loser never win.
Right. I do remember hearing that. I'm growing up as a kid. I'm thinking, okay, I get what he means, but why do you have to say such like simple things? But now that I'm a parent, I think of things differently.
Yes, it's a big difference in how you carry yourself.
Yeah.
And then I was always a seeker of knowledge. I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn everything about construction.
Hmm.
And then Sam taught me how to bid jobs, how to read blueprints. And of course, I had started school too. I was working in the South, working before I went to construction full time. I was a giant. And then I think I had Everett when I was just graduated in the 12th grade,
Hmm. Yeah.
18, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
I had an opportunity to go, when I graduated, an opportunity to go to different colleges.
mhm.
I visited maybe 5 or 6 night schools, but growing up without a father, I said, I'm not going to do that. So I decided to go to school locally in some kind of way I found about Southeastern University.
Right.
It was
Okay.
a working school where you could work, go to school, and they had a basketball program. So I made the team, and at that time they had different grants. They had BEOG grants, they had Pell grants, and plus, I had a full-time scholarship.
Okay.
I didn't pay to go to school, but I was getting these grants too.
Right. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, definitely.
Back to high school, back to college days.
Hmm.
So, yeah, when we played basketball, if you played out of town, I had made a arrangement with my coworkers at Giant. I said, "Man, I'm in school, we're playing ball. You gotta let me in when I come to work. Sometimes I'll get to work at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, but they would punch me in. We
Okay.
just had that. They would punch me in at 12,
Right.
and I wasn't there.
Yes, that way, like you lose any hours, you won't lose your job. No, but just like hearing you,
Mm,
but like hearing you talk about your lack of sleep, how you are in college, you're working full time, you have a son, and so like you are balancing so much at that age. So like, what what made you want to keep on going and to keep on growing? Because that's a whole lot to be handling. The lack of sleep, a young kid, college, homework, full time job, family. I mean, that's a lot.
yeah, it was a lot. It was, but I didn't look at it that way. Sometimes you can put a torch on yourself, and your cup could be half full, and you use all that stuff as crutches or as deterrents,
Hmm.
or you can be positive and just do it.
Okay.
Not let it weigh you down, because it's mind over matter. I decided this is what I'm gonna do, and I think I want to get into the corporate world. 'Cause at the same time I was applying for jobs, I had applied for a job at let me see, the stock market, but it's local. They got offices all over the world, but
Oh.
what was that company?
Hmm.
It wasn't Saks. It was another one.
Because I was thinking of Goldman Sachs, but it's not them. You're saying.
And it
Mm.
wasn't Goldman Sachs, but they're on the same level as Goldman Sachs.
Okay. I have no idea.
Uh, if I said it, you know who it is. I think something with an M. Man, let's see what you come up with. You name it, I can tell you who it is. It wasn't Goldman Sachs.
Okay.
Merrill Lynch.
Oh, then okay, got it. Okay.
Yes, that was, yeah, Merrill Lynch. It was Merrill Lynch.
Okay.
And I got hired by them, but I didn't take the job.
Okay.
For some reason, I just didn't feel comfortable at the time, because I was playing ball. I didn't have the liberty that I had at Giant.
Okay.
So I said, man, I had to quit school or stay in school and quit playing ball.
Mm.
But I wanted to stay at school, and I didn't take that project. So I stayed with Giant. But prior to Giant, I was working at HFC.
Right. Okay.
Now this story will blow your mind, because HFC, I was living with mom. This was in 60. You say HFC, I guess 70. It was 73. And HFC in Virginia, from my house, was a long, it was quite a ways. But I would leave the house and I would walk, man, from, he never stayed in Virginia, I don't think. No, he didn't. Well, Bayless Crossroads all the way up to Wilson Boulevard.
Each day?
Yeah, Wilson Boulevard, but it was a long walk, but
Wow.
I would walk all the way. It would take me about 45 minutes an hour to get to work. And I did that for a while before I got a car.
Okay.
And then Tia bought me a car, and then I was able to drive to work. But I was going to ride home, from one of the co-workers.
Yeah. Because okay.
They said, well, you walked all the way up here? I said, every day.
Wow, Dad. That's definitely that is dedication because you had to work. So like you got there however that meant walking or getting a ride sometimes.
And I was working and how to make loans. And most of the loans that we were making were to soldiers at Fort Myers and Anderson Hall. And those bases, Fort Belvoir.
Okay.
You know, the soldiers was coming in, they were E1s, E2s, and they just started in, and some needed money, so we made them loans, and it paid us back, and I got into collections where I would call them up and say, "You behind? Some should have been in last week." So they would get turned on the telephone and say, "You need to pay this, or we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that."
Right.
Just to threaten them to get paid. So I learned how to do collections. I learned how to stuff envelopes and send out bills. And I did that for a while. And I said, "Man, I want to go to work elsewhere." So that's when I started put an application in at Giant Foods. And they wasn't hiring. But somebody told me, I forgot who it was, but they said, "You got to be a squeaky wheel." So I would call the employment office every day. Every day.
Yeah. Okay.
I said, "Any openings yet? Any openings yet?" "Not yet." I called back the next day. I said, "Anything come up yet?" So I just to get tired of me, they just put me somewhere.
Right. So you would stop calling them.
So I started calling them, yeah. And then
Love it.
Henry Clay was and I forgot the lady's name, but they ran me. Giant employment office at the time in Virginia was right there at Seven Corners, right off of King Street, or Leesburg Pike at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was a place called Seven Corners.
Right. You but know where that is. Okay.
Right. It was Lord and Teller was right there in that same building with Lord and Teller. So they put me on. My first store was in Oakton, Virginia. And then they transferred me to Vienna. And then from Vienna, they transferred me to Maple. The store down in McLean. That's where all the rich people were.
Mm-hmm.
And it was but I went day shift then.
Okay.
And I met so many rich folks, the Kennedys, a lot of the congressmen and senators. They all were living in them plain areas. That was like Potomac at the time.
Right.
But Potomac was where most of the blacks were.
Mm-hmm.
But McLean was big money. And I met them and worked there. And then from there, I became when I was at the McLean store. Our local union was Local 400. And I said, "Wow," they were looking for a shop stewardess. So I volunteered and I became the shop stewardess, representing the Local 400 employees.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go to meetings, and I met this I forgot the fellow's name, but he taught me how to be a shop stewardess. It's basically a representative between the owner and the employees.
Okay.
If there was grievances or anything that may come up, I had to get involved,
Right.
write up, meet with the folks, and kind of squash the grievance, whatever the problem was. I
Right.
was shop steward for like 2 years.
Okay. Well, Dad. I mean,
At the
I'm
Union,
still
at
learning.
400.
So I'm still learning more and more about like you working at Giant, for longer than what I thought it was. You being a shop steward with the union. You have so much, Dad, that is just amazing that that I'm learning, that that like folks who are going to listen to this will also learn. So this has been wonderful, just learning more about you.
Wow. Yeah, I just did it. I did things I had to do. I never bragged about it. Like some people be bragging,
Mm-hmm.
but I was a listener. I was a listener. And I said, "No, I ain't gonna brag, because you start bragging, and when you go down,
Right.
it's gonna be a minus towards you, You had all you was big stuff earlier. Now you ain't got nothing.
Yeah, people
So
are
you,
that way still to this day. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I am. I mean, yeah. So that definitely was something that wasn't taught outright growing up, but that's how we lived. Like we were a humble and modest family. So no matter what we had or didn't have, it wasn't flashy, like to the extent that that it could have been. So I definitely um appreciate that kind of upbringing of don't be flashy.
mm-hmm. You don't be flashy. I mean, you can be flashy, but don't be bragging.
Right,
I mean,
yeah. I know what
we
you
never
mean.
bragged. We had the nice stuff. We was middle class family, but it was just common.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, I'm expecting I'm better than you. And I was able to talk to anyone. If you was a bomb or if you was a president, I could elevate my conversation to whoever I was dealing with.
Yeah, and that is something new that the kids also say, "Oh my gosh, Poppy, he talks to all these people, and you're just like him." And Grandma was like, "Well, that's how I was raised. You just talk to people whether you know them or not." But you know, that actually brings me to a memory of when you met the Queen when when she was here in DC.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
so like tell us more about that because like I mean I kind of know that like somehow you ended up getting a picture with her. I'm thinking how, but that's dad. So like, okay, so I get how because it's you. Because like you just talk to everybody.
yeah. Well, what happened? I was at that time I had started working. I had quit Giant. I had created SAS Construction, and here again I was saying I wanted to work for some corporations. So some kind of way I got involved with Marshall Heights Community Development
Okay.
over on Minnesota Avenue and Blaine.
Mm-hmm.
In some way, we built houses on Drake Street, and the Queen was due to come over there. And I said, oh, man, I got to get really sharp man. So I don't know what that picture is, but I had my suit on and
Right. Yeah.
my little dark, my little scarf, the African scarf on. And when she came over, she came to see how Americans was doing with nonprofit
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
housing.
Queen Elizabeth. So was this in the mid '90s or because I mean I kind of remember you telling me and then like seeing a picture. I'm thinking, wow, he really was right beside her. So like around when was this? You think? Because I don't remember the year.
Let me see. Let me think back when. Yeah, it was about 90. And she came to town, and we got close to her, took a picture. I don't know what the pictures are now since we moved. So
Yeah, but I definitely
yeah,
know what it looks like though, because I definitely can picture it. I picture it in my head very, very clearly on that photo.
yeah. So that's how I met the Queen. And I never thought about that. You just mentioned that how blessed I was meeting with the Queen, but to me, it was just another day on the job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I could have made something big out of it. I didn't think about it at the time.
Yeah.
So
And
I was working with Marshall Heights Community Development. I was a subcontractor. They were the developers. And we would build houses all along down in Helen Burroughs,
mm-hmm.
different areas of D.C. They would find us a lot of land, and I would get the crew together. We'd go and we'd put the house together, and we'd build it from the ground up. But most of the houses, they came in as modulars.
Okay.
Modulars, a two-piece house. When they came on the crane, they would put them in the blocks, put it together, and we'll go inside and finish it up, the drywall, the roofing, and the painting, and whatever it took. So we must have did about 10 or 12 houses in the D.C. area,
Okay.
low-income people.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool, Dad.
And then the same guy who hired me to work under him as a subcontractor, he took a project in Hughesville, and he asked me to come down and work with him down there. So there we built like 30 houses. With the way it was worked in Hughesville, it was Tri-County Community Development.
Okay.
Was the company right in Hughesville off Route 5. And the way it worked with it down there, each homeowner qualifies. It was 10 homeowners. And each homeowner had to help each homeowner build houses. But once the land was clear and the foundation was in,
Mm-hmm.
then all 10 families would, after work, they would come. And all 10 had to work on one house at a time. So we built one house, and then we moved to somebody else's house or somebody else's house until we got all 10 of them built.
That's an interesting model. I mean,
And nobody can move in. Nobody can move into all the houses was totally completed.
right. Okay.
So
So,
we had this one couple. They were lazy. They never would come to help us.
mhm.
And their house was the last house that we built. And they had to help us then. I said, you want to move into this house, you're going to have us build it.
Right.
You never show up. You don't help. Well, my house should have been in the next row. Now, we skipped over your house. But she didn't come and help us.
Yeah.
You want to come when it's time to build your house. But no, if you're going to deal, it's going to be the last one being built. And that's how it was.
So,
We finished 10 houses. This was down in,
was it
oh,
Zakiah
down
Swamp?
in,
Is that what it was? I'm just guessing a neighborhood down in Hughesville. I guess that's Waldorf or Hughesville.
well, the first set was over in, when you go to Indian Highway, Indian Head Village, all the way down to Indian Head. That's where you
Oh,
get the base.
okay.
On the left side
210.
there, Indian
Okay.
Head Village.
Oh wow, but down there, okay.
That's where the first 10 was built. And then 10 were built in the Hughesville area
Okay, that was after Indian Head. Okay.
at the Indian Head. And then another 10 was built right there off of, go down 301. What's the name of that street? Whatever, the liquor store. Right before you get to the bridge.
Oh,
It's all lit up now.
Newburgh.
Yep, that's exactly what it was. They had a little section back there that they built 10 houses.
Oh wow. Okay. Are that kind of model common back then, or is that just something that was kind of unique to Maryland possibly? With this whole
No, HUD had a program. I believe the HUD assistant programs
okay.
at FHA.
Okay.
And
Got
once the house was built, then the homeowners also, they qualify for a loan.
hmm
So they had to qualify for the loan and qualify for the house, but it was no money down. It was just a farm, like a farmland farm. It was on the HUD though.
Okay, I'm gonna do some asking around when I get back to work. I mean, I'm going to assume that it's not around anymore, but but like people who have been at
No,
HUD for 20, 30 years, like they may know about it. So I'll ask some folks when I get back to work in a few weeks.
yes, I mean it was called self-help.
Okay.
Most of your community development, you had community developments in different wards,
Mm-hmm.
like in Ward, what was in D.C., but you had Community Development Corporation there. That was Lord Smith.
Mm-hmm.
In the Northwest, you had a Community Development organization, and each ward had one.
Okay, that's interesting. Oh,
Yep. And in Hughesville, it was called Tri-County, which is all the counties.
right. Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
This has
And I
been.
was
Mhm.
I was actually employed by them. I wasn't I guess he's a contractor, but I was on payroll.
Okay, with the Tri-County Community Development Corporation. Okay, cool. Well, this has been a wonderful conversation about just how you didn't let things that happened to you as you grew up, you know, make you feel like quitting was an option. So like you definitely have been through a whole lot, that you've shared, plus things that you haven't shared as well, that have shaped who you are today. So I definitely thank you for like giving us some wisdom, Dad.
I was determined to do what I put on my mind or something. I was determined to do it. So
What are
I guess
two I guess tips that you could share about like not giving up and not quitting, because like you definitely have a lot of wisdom, that you've shared up to date, plus that you can still share with me separately. But like, what are two things that would be like your biggest things about like not quitting?
well, the first thing you have to believe in yourself. I mean, you got to believe that you can do this. With come hell or high water, I can do this. And now, don't let nothing get in the way of, especially doubt. Because you have 1 ounce of doubt, that weighs more than 10 pounds of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to erase all doubt from your mind. You got to your cup's got to be half full all the time. And that was one thing. You believe in yourself. And the second thing was, if I can put 100% of me into this, then I'll come out with 80 or 90, sometimes 70. At least you're still ahead.
Mm-hmm.
You're above 50%.
Right. Okay.
And you got to say things don't always last as bad, There's always a turning point. Sometimes it comes the next day, sometimes it comes the next week. But you always have to look for the turning point, because that's how life is. And I used to, a lot of times I would have take these small jobs, but somewhere along the year, a huge job would come. When I say huge, I'm talking like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Okay.
$300,000 jobs. And I got involved with the 8A program. We were working at Andrews Air Force Base, Patuxent Base, Fort Myers, the airport.
You had some you had some major contracts going on, and so like these are like major federal contracts.
Oh yeah, very major.
Right.
We had to get all this paperwork together. And these projects were running. That's why I should have been a millionaire, but I didn't have the advice of a person to lead me the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I did was trial and error, and I would accomplish it. And then I guess boredom would step in, because I said, I've accomplished this, and what's next? And once I accomplished that, it's like it became boring,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to try something else. In the construction field, but I wanted to elevate myself.
Okay.
And my biggest admiration was, man, I want to be a millionaire by the time I'm 30. When I started taking these big government jobs, it was $900,000. Some was $1 million. That was the gross.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Then we built churches. I
Right.
built a church that was $900,000. I did a daycare center that was like $700,000. So I was a millionaire in terms of gross, but I just didn't manage things right. I look back on certain things and I said, man, if I only had a coach or someone that said, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do. But I was doing things on my own. And even in D.C., when I was doing construction, this guy named Warren Mayor Walter Washington. He's dead
Okay.
now.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But he was saying you could buy houses for $1, but you had to live in them for 5 years. And I said, no, I ain't gonna do that because we had a house in Waldorf, and we weren't complacent with Mom and I were satisfied and
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to move. We wanted to see all the, raise the kids down there. But to find out later, I figured about those houses and said I'm working on them.
Right.
So you don't have to live in them while they were dilapidated.
Right.
You had to live in them once they was completed. And I'm thinking I had to live in while they were dilapidated. I can't live in nothing like this. But not knowing the terminology, once it's completed, you had to live in it for 5 years.
Wow.
And I thought you had to live in them while they were dilapidated.
Right.
So that's why I didn't do none of them. That's why I didn't buy none of them.
Whoa. Wow.
There's one guy named Dr. Henry. He's a dentist at Howard. He's retired a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
He bought like 40 houses. And I met him later in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I must have worked on probably 20 or 25 of them.
Okay.
And I said, how you get all these houses, doctor? He said, well, the program DC was offering you buy a house for $1. And you had to live in it. But he bought them and just let them sit. Because they wanted the tax money off of them. You got to pay the tax on all these properties.
Mm-hmm.
And this was my retirement. He was at like 40 houses in DC.
So he was mega millionaire with the property value.
He's definitely a millionaire.
Wow.
He's definitely a millionaire. He's had a mansion up on New Hampshire Avenue, up in Silver Spring.
Okay.
Like on 10 acres of land. Has a big lake behind his house. And he still was a dentist, but he's still. But I met him later in life.
Okay.
This is probably back in 2000 or something.
Okay.
But when the house was going for $1, it was back in the 80s.
Oh, yeah, definitely had to be
In the 90s.
years ago. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, were these are these houses in just certain parts of DC, or was it all all over the city? Like,
All over the city.
oh, okay.
And the house was boarded up. If it was boarded up, it was for sale. Because the program in D.C. at the time was to get these boards off these houses.
Right.
That was the thing. And for some reason, I was always in the clique with what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, man, I'm always surprised myself. I said, I was always in the know with what was going on with the people that had it going on. I wasn't like your average person. Just didn't know, but I was always with the shakers and the bakers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the movers, the shakers.
I don't know how I got with them, but I was always with those kind of people.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't your average folks.
It's your personality, because like, you can talk to people like whether they're high income, low income. You can find something to relate to them somehow. So like it's always been one of your skills, that you can just talk to anybody. So that's probably what it was, I'm guessing.
And that was part of why once they put me to the test, I would always prove myself, I said, I'm going to make sure I succeed with whatever I get. And I did. Yeah, I did. We did. So, but again, Mom had a lot to do with it too. She was that patient, sacrificial.
Mm-hmm.
The things that we did, we sacrificed a lot. But she believed in it. We accomplished a lot. We lost some things. But it was good. My main concern was you all being successful. You got a family, Melanie got a family, everyone has a family.
Yeah.
And I feel good about that.
that your son and daughters, have been raised well. We may have had things that didn't go as planned in life, but that's just life anyway. But but like in the long run, we're doing well in various ways. So good parenting. Thank y'all for joining us for another episode of The Linguistic Show on being afraid to quit. And so no matter what's going on in your life, whether it's work, school, family, what other stuff, try your best to keep on pushing, because if you give up before you give all your effort, you may not know what can actually happen once you get through. So join us next week when we talk about dating after divorce. So be sure to check us out on Instagram for our show page. Also, you can hear past episodes on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify using The Linguistic Show. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.
If you enjoyed this, like, comment,
Subscribe and share to The Linguistic Show.
This has been an Ashangali Enterprises production.
Co-produced by Naomi. Music by Brassville.